Hola guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to finally tell you guys about my favorite fiction, middle grade, and graphic novels that I read in the past year. The first is The Likeness by Tana French. This is the second in the Dublin Murder Squad series that she has, and this follows the female detective, which was our female lead in the first book, In the Woods. And about 6 months after the case that we follow in the first book, she is asked to go to this crime scene, and when she gets there, she finds a victim who looks eerily like her. She used to do work undercover, and it would appear that the victim has taken one of her previous identities, and so we get the same beautiful, evocative, atmospheric writing that Tana French is so known for. It is a very complex psychological view into these characters. I absolutely loved it. If you like campus novels, I would recommend this. It takes place in a house full of like grad students, so she decides to reintegrate herself into her old identity and find out what happened to this woman. And so you do get some of that feel that you get from campus novels, and I loved it so much. I already cannot wait to get into the third book in the series. I think she's gonna be a sort of staple of mystery authors that I follow. I love her writing. I love the mysteries that she's able to come up with and how deep she's able to get into the psyche of her characters. I absolutely loved this. I definitely recommend it. Then we have The Bookshop of Yesterdays by Amy Meyerson, and this is for lovers of books about books. At the heart of this novel is a mystery, a bookstore, and the relationship between a young girl and her uncle. They have a very, very close relationship when they're young. One day she sort of loses touch with him and never really hears from him again. When she finds that he has passed, he has left her the bookstore that she used to frequent when she was a kid and that she loved. And so now she has to sort of grapple with the fact that she didn't have that relationship with him growing up, and what her life has become, and find out what happened to his life. What is the mystery of who he was, and what is he trying to tell her in leaving her the bookstore? I loved it. I think it is, like I said, great for lovers of books about books and books about bookstores. I think it was heartwarming, and I enjoyed getting to the middle of this mystery alongside our main character. Then we have the first part of The Lord of the Rings, which is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I read this just very recently in December. I decided to have a full month of fantasy reads in December, and this was the second book that I picked up for that month, and I absolutely loved it. I already loved the world. I was a fan of this series, but based on the movies. I hadn't read the books yet, and I had been led to believe by other people that the writing would be something that I might not get along with, that not everybody got along with, that the book might be boring and long-winded, and I didn't feel that at all. I loved his writing. I love how you were able to really feel the Shire and feel Middle Earth around you, and you get this amazing sense of adventure. I love every single one of these characters. I love the friendship. I love the sense of loyalty that he really brings home in this book. There was almost nothing that I didn't like about this book. I mean, I missed it when I put it down. I desperately wanted to know more about these characters and more about their journey. Obviously, having watched the movies, I know the overarching story, but obviously when you get to read the books after having watched the movie, you get so much more detail, and I loved it. I love how much more developed these characters are, how you see their relationships and their and what, oh my god, I'm never this popular. And I love how you're able to see their motivations. I just really loved it. I keep thinking about it, and I can't wait to get into the second and third part of the book. I highly recommend it if you want to be a sort of well-read fantasy fan. I guess this is kind of one of those staples that you should read, and I hate that I waited so long to read it. I can't wait to pick up the rest of the parts in the book, and I'm sure that I will love them just as much. For young adult, we'll go with adult, young adult, and middle grade. We have Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is the third Elizabeth Acevedo, and to me it was her most emotionally complex, and it's been my favorite so far. It's about two sisters who don't know about each other. One lives in New York. One lives in New York and one lives in the Dominican Republic, and they find out about each other after the death of their father, as the plane that he was in to go visit the Dominican Republic crashes. And that part in particular, I think, is based on something that actually did happen, and where the majority of the victims were Dominican. And I just loved it. I love the relationship between the two sisters. I love the complexity of emotions as they learn to understand their place in the world, their place with each other, their place in family, who their father was to each of them. And like every novel that she's given us, she talks about not just the main plot, but uses it as a device to talk to us about so many different topics that are important in the Latinx community. I think she gets better with every book that she has written, and I can't wait to see what else she comes out with. For middle grade, the first is Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I'm not going to talk too much about this because this is the third in the Morgan Crow series, and we just get to see more of Morgan, finding out more about who she is, the history of the Wondersmiths, the power that she's able to draw from and learn about. And there is nothing about these books that I don't love. They're full of wonder. They're so vibrant. They're so atmospheric. My favorite part in this particular book is, typically I love the Christmas scenes, and there is a beautiful Christmas scene in this as well at the beginning of the book, but my favorite was when we got to see the Wondrous Society's library. I thought it was beautiful. I could just see it all come to life. It was amazing. I highly recommend this series if you love fantasy, if you are looking for something that gives you that grips you and takes you to the sort of this magical world, of this dreamlike, evocative, beautiful world, then I definitely recommend this one. I would read it with your kids if you have them. If you're looking for something fun and that gives you joy, I recommend this series. It's so funny too, I love it. And the audiobook is probably one of my favorite audiobooks ever. The narrator that they chose, and I talk about her in the vlog that I did during my December fantasy reads, because I read this for December as well. And she's done all 3 books, and she just does such an amazing job at each of the characters. She brings them to life. They're so funny. I can't talk about it enough. Then we have the beginning of a new middle grade series for me, which is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. And this follows 4 kids who see this very peculiar ad in the newspaper, which brings in hundreds of kids to sort of take this test and see, test their wits. And 4 of them pass, and they are sort of inducted into this society where they are tasked with a mission to essentially help save their town, the world. And middle grade just has this wonderful ability to bring such joy to me, to have these characters be so fully fleshed, and I feel so much for the characters in a well-written middle grade book, especially if it's middle grade fantasy, because you have this added layer of magic to it. And so these kids are tasked with this mission, and you're just following along with them on their mission. And there's all of these adventures and all of these tests that they have to pass, and again, it's really funny and it is so charming. I love every single one of these characters. They're each so individual in their own personalities, but they come together as a cast of characters so well. I love it. I can't wait to read the second one. I have been recommended this so long, and it had taken me forever to get to it, but I'm finally glad that I did. It was one of the books that this year really helped me get back into reading. I was totally gripped by the story. Can't recommend it enough. And then I did read a few graphic novels that I enjoyed quite a bit. And the first is Czech Please, which is by Ngozi Ukazu, and this is a queer graphic novel about this kid who is an ice skater, but is enrolled into university and is in the university's hockey team, and he loves to bake and he does vlogs. So immediately there's such a charm and such a cuteness to him as a character that I absolutely loved. I immediately felt drawn to him, and you just see his life, baking and making friends with the super, tough dudes in the hockey team, and it is just so cute and so endearing. I absolutely loved it. And it is a queer graphic novel. It has a black female author, so check it out if you haven't. I am gonna read book 2 as soon as I can, and then I read volumes 1 and 2 of Fence volumes 1 and 2 by C.S. Pacat. But I love this. So it's about this kid who gets a scholarship to go to this university to be part of their fencing team, and he is trying to learn more about his father and sort of follow in his father's footsteps, who is this very famous fencing master. And it's just about his university life and trying to be as best as he can, and it is so funny. There's so much sass. I love it. It's super queer too. I'm so here for it. I've read volumes 1 and 2 and I love them both. I can't wait to read on in it. And yeah, if you're just looking for something fun, something quick, something funny, something to distract you, I would recommend both of the graphic novels that I mentioned. So those were my favorite fiction, middle grade YA graphic novels of 2020. Overall, I'm glad that I was able to find reads that really meant a lot to me, because I had such a horrible reading year last year, and just it was a horrible year overall. But I'm glad that I have sort of good reading memories to bring with me into the next year. And towards the end, I really found my groove, and so far this year I have been absolutely loving the books that I've been reading, and I'm like super pumped to read. So yeah, I can't wait to see what my favorite reads of the next year are. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought, and let me know what some of your favorites were for the last year. As always, thank you for watching and thank you for watching and for listening. I love you all very much.